Hi, this is Chris Evert, and we're on Weird Tennis, and we're here to talk about Roland Garros.
Are your assistants, everybody's in place?
Yeah, everybody's out of the room.
Okay.
Because I have two dogs and two sons that are here, and I don't know what kind of ruckus they're gonna come about. So I'm safely in a room with a locked
Okay.
door.
Okay, good. You're in lockdown again. Where are you in the world?
Boca Raton, Florida.
Not
Not
bad. Not
no
not,
no.
not too shabby.
It's like 80, 85 degrees, and it's on the water, and I can't complain about anything, especially what's going on in the world today. That's for sure.
Yeah, agreed. I personally am in the Côte d'Azur. I'm between Cannes and Antibes, so
Oh,
right next to Nice. Also, view on the Mediterranean. No complaints over here.
on the Mediterranean? No, I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't think
Yeah.
so.
So,
Well, it's good to talk.
um, thank you. It's nice to have you with us. It's an honor to have you with us. I don't know if you could hear me speak while I was trying to bring you into the
Yes.
conversation. You could. Okay.
Yeah.
So I compared you to Rafa Nadal. You're the Rafa Nadal of women's tennis at Roland Garros.
Thank you.
How does that work? You accept that?
I am very flattered that I'm even compared to him. He's incredible. He's just to have won it as many times as he has, and um, just, I mean, he just grinds it out, doesn't he? He just is mentally so tough. He's so patient. He's got that heavy topspin that I think gives everybody nightmares when they play him on red clay. And he's pretty invincible. I mean, he's the greatest of all time for sure on the red clay.
Yeah. And you were also you still are, in fact, greatest of all time on the red clay. You didn't have the topspin that he has, but you had other weapons that worked really well.
Yeah, I didn't have the topspin. I mean, we didn't know what a Western forehand was back in the day. I mean, it was all continental, and it was just flat, no spin. But I think that I was consistent, and I was patient, and I relied, I think, more on placement than power, and I think that helped me. And I was willing to stay out there all day if I had to win a point.
That's the thing. So yeah, that was your style, right? I did my homework, and yeah, you were brought up to really play as deep as possible, the deepest possible zone of the court on clay. And that was just keeping your opponents behind the baseline.
Right. I think just to wear them down. And it's interesting, when I came on the scene around 15, 16, three of the Grand Slam tournaments were on grass. And so all the women, when you look at the top women, Margaret Court, Billie Jean King, Rosie Casals, Virginia Wade, they really didn't have great ground strokes at all. It was all serve and volley. They had great volleys, great slice backhands, but and I don't mean to be critical, but they couldn't stay in a rally, for more than 6 or 7 shots. And then I came along being brought up on clay. And I think that gave me a lot of confidence at a young age to beat those legends on a clay court. And then I think after I came along, the Monica, Steffi, I mean, then the next few generations, were more versatile and could do both, could come to the net and could stay at the baseline.
Yeah, but you showed a new way. It was a niche. Your style was a niche, really, compared to other people, and until it took time for people to figure it out and how to.
Yeah.
And by then you had already demolished a bunch of them, as in demolished. Like, okay, this is crazy. I'm just gonna go into stats real quick, but out of the 171 sets that you played in Paris, okay, you won 28 of them that score 6-love, and 30 of them 6-1. So that's almost a third of the sets in total that you played in Paris that you never lost more than one game.
I was in every point. I mean, I was in the moment in every point, and I really had good focus. I never got sloppy. I never was, inconsistent. I pretty much, it was a religion for me to make the shot. Consequently, I didn't go for many winners and I didn't overpower anybody, but that was just, listen, we didn't have graphite rackets. We didn't have the strings that they do today. I mean, I hit about as hard as most players hit in those days, although now when they replay matches, it looks like slow motion. But, we swung pretty hard from the hip with our wood rackets in the beginning. And I just, again, I was brought up and almost brainwashed, I think, by my dad, who was my coach, never to miss a ball and never to make an unforced error, because it's just a cheap point for somebody else. And I had the patience to do it. So that was my style. Now, later on in my career, I had to adjust to the grass courts and the fast hard courts, and I had to make adjustments and change my game a little bit. But as far as playing on clay, again, there were not a lot of great clay court players when I came on the scene. And I think that's why I won so much.
I find you're you're very humble, because you say, I didn't go for winners, but your strategy was basically you were keeping those girls back. And when they eventually made it to the net, they would get passed or lobbed. And those were your winners.
Yeah, I prayed that they would come into the net. I would love a target. I would love to be forced to make a passing shot to make a winner. Yeah, I mean, I was, my game was about placement, and it wasn't about blowing somebody off the court. It was about side to side. And then when I saw the opening, then I stepped in and I went for a winner. But I never made a winner on the second or third shot. Usually it would take, 8 or 10 shots for me to open up the court. And it gave me enough time to really set up and hit my groundies. So it was totally, my game was totally suited to the clay. And it really helped that I grew up on it. I learned to slide at a young age. And consequently, when you learn to slide on clay, you really move better and you anticipate better and you have more time to move. So it was just a perfect surface for me. I really loved it.
So this is strange, because how does an American girl from Florida grow up on clay? How does that work? That doesn't make sense to me. In Europe, and for European people, Americans, it's hard surface.
Yeah.
How do you grow up on clay?
Florida is almost all clay. That's the difference. You're thinking about California, Billie Jean, Stan Smith, Rosie Casals, all those greats. They grew up on hard courts in California. There are no clay courts in California. In Florida, when I grew up, there was no hard courts, and all of our junior tournaments were on clay courts. So I mean, it's all what you're used to. It's all what you grew up on. I think that's really going to help you. And Martina grew up, believe it or not, Martina grew up on red clay in Czechoslovakia. And I think it promotes great footwork. I think it promotes great moving, great anticipation, great, little steps around the ball, adjustment steps. And I think it can teach you a lot mentally about grinding points out and about patience. So it's a great surface to grow up on, because then I think it affects every other surface that you play on. You can bring the good stuff along with it.
Yeah, it's easier to go from clay to the other than vice versa. Yeah, but it's not red clay, right?
It's green clay. Don't ask me what the difference is, because it's hard. I mean, I think green clay 40 years ago was a lower bounce. But I didn't see many, I didn't see many differences between the green.
And it's weird because they call it green clay, but it's actually gray, right?
If you say so.
Green. What?
It's yeah. Yeah, it could be gray. It could be green.
It's green. Okay, greenish gray.
I thought it was green, but that's okay.
No, that's fine. So anyways, okay, so you grew up on clay, which explains a lot.
Yeah.
Do you, I mean, it doesn't get better than what you've done at Roland Garros. And does that, nobody to this day has done better than you. Where does that stand within you? Like, is that something that you're particularly proud of? Is that already, okay, I mean, it's been so long and people have reminded you of this over and over again that now it's something that you're blasé about, or is that still like something huge for you?
Oh, yeah, I mean it's still huge for me as far as it's my most successful Grand Slam. It was my most successful surface, and I won more matches and I set a lot of records. So I think that makes me, for some reason it's been brought up a lot in the last 3 months because there's no live tennis played. Everybody's, going back and looking at the greats and their
Yeah,
records.
everybody's opening boxes. Everybody's
It's
opening boxes.
unbelievable. I'm like, I'm hot again. I've come back. you know, I hope that I go away soon because that means live tennis will happen. But all of a sudden, everybody wants to know, and myself and Martina and Billie Jean, and it's so funny to see all the podcasts out there. But yes, I am very proud of my clay court French Open. Um, you know, but I'm also very proud of like Wimbledon because Wimbledon surface was not suited to my game, and I had to adapt and I had to make adjustments and I had to play out of the box and I had to create new shots for myself, and that was even probably more of a challenge for me winning Wimbledon, but having the record of 7 French Opens and definitely is one of the big highlights of my career. No doubt about it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So the first one, well, not the first one, but your first appearance in '73, so like 5 years ago, right? Um, it it was it was nobody really knew you in
No,
France,
no.
and you just made it to the finals
And should have won it too.
and
Should have.
destroyed Françoise Dürr in the semis, dropping one game.
Sorry. She was French. She was funny. I love
She
Frank
still
with her.
is. She still is.
I know she is really something else.
But coming in and going to the
Yeah.
final in the first shot, I mean, who does that? I mean, I can think of one person who did that, and we spoke about him earlier in this conversation. So,
Yeah.
I mean, there are things that are connecting, but that you must have been overwhelmed, no?
No, I overwhelmed to get to the finals.
Yeah, I mean,
No, not really. It was kind of the natural progression of things because when I was 16, I got to the semifinals of the US Open, and there was a lot more attention and a lot more demands from the press, and I was on the front page of the New York Times, and everybody was celebrating that young 16-year-old. So the next summer when I played Paris, like I didn't know what they were saying about me. I mean, all the French newspapers, I didn't speak French. I had no idea what they were saying about me, and nobody, like you said, nobody was paying attention. And quite frankly, they paid a lot more attention to the men than the women in those days. I mean, that was before women tennis players were really accepted. And I have to say, I experienced many years the crowds really, all of a sudden I'd be playing a match and it would get near the end, and all of a sudden the fans would be clapping, and they go, I would think to myself, oh my God, they really want me to win, but the truth of the matter is they wanted me off the court so they could get Borg on or Jimmy or McEnroe. So anyway, that's 73. Like you said, I was under the radar. Nobody was really talking about me. And when I played Margaret Court, I had beaten her before on clay, and I was upset in 5-3, and I let it go.
did you choke or?
In my own way, yeah. I mean, and choking for me is not, well, first of all, everybody chokes. I hate that word. I always said I got tight. I just, I couldn't hit out. I got too tentative, and that was my way of choking, I think, you know, because I couldn't really play freely, play my game. So I got tight or choked, and
I won't say it again. I promise. I won't say it again.
Set at 5-3, and I don't know, you know, I look. There are certain Grand Slams that I should have won that I lost, and there's certain that I should have lost that I won. So at the end of the day, it all evens out. And but that was a good learning, I think, a good learning experience for me, and made me realize that I really you know, it made me realize that I really had to get tougher in closing matches.
Yeah, it took you a while to get tight again at a French Open final, right? Because after that, it was just you were just rolling, and you were just walking on people, and then you even didn't show for 3 years, which is crazy because you're the title holder. It's tough to say, title record holder.
Yeah.
And you could have had 10.
Well, I don't know if I could have. I don't know if I would have won those three.
Potentially, you could have had 10, right?
I would have bet on myself that I could have won one of those three. You know? But yeah, that was during World Team Tennis, and I don't have any regrets, because World Team Tennis was the place to be. It was during the summer, 3 months, and all the big names were playing. We were playing in stadiums of, you know, 10, 12,000 people, and it was great for tennis. So I don't regret it. So I don't really look back that much and think, oh, I could have won 10. I mean, I really don't. It's not, you know, it doesn't get me anywhere.
Okay, good. No, but it's crazy because despite the fact that I mean, you didn't show for 3 years, you still, that's how much you dominated. And
yeah,
I mean, beating you on that court was one of the biggest challenges in tennis, in sports, professional sports. And did you feel that coming onto the court? Was it like, as the years went along, were you like more and more confident, saying, okay, this is my house, this is my garden, my backyard, my kitchen, whatever?
Yeah, when I was confident for however long that was, I don't even, 5, 6, 7 years, and when I was doing really well on the clay, when I had my streak, I think I won 125 matches in a row. I would walk on the court and know that I owned that player on clay. Now, maybe they would beat me on grass, but I knew that, and that's confidence. That's the confidence that a champion has. I mean, that's Nadal walks on the court, I'm sure, and feels the same way. Or Roger walks on the court and feels the same way. I mean, that's just something
Not in Paris.
Well, that's true, but maybe at Wimbledon. Okay, but yeah, that's just one of the characteristics that the top players have, is the confidence. So I would walk on the court and know that I was not going to give them the match, that they would have to earn it, and I was not going to give them an inch, and I was going to be focused on every point, and I was going to wear them out. And yeah, it was all about confidence. And you know, I'm sure Serena feels that way when she's on grass, and she's like, God, if my serves, I'm going to just get my first serve in, and I'm going to return well and move well, and I should be fine. You know, that's what a champion is. It's all about confidence and believing in yourself.
But then somebody came around that kind of put a little question mark in your confidence, and that was Martina. I mean, I spoke to her. She was in your place, speaking to me 4 days ago, or 5 days ago. Very nice conversation. She was amongst her ducks and goats and chickens and dogs, and self-sufficient. She's self-sufficient.
Yeah, I've been at her house. I know what goes on there, boy.
It's a farm. Yeah, it sounded like a farm. In fact, she went and got her dog and showed us her dog at the end.
Oh,
so we're expecting to see some animals on your side at the end.
Okay.
Let's keep them. But yeah, what did that do? Did that make you become a player? You had to add something to your game. You had to change stuff. I mean, what did Martina do to your game?
When I first saw Martina, just give you a little backtrack history. When I first saw Martina, I was 17 or 18. I was 18 years old. She was 16 years old. I played her in Akron, Ohio. And I played against her, and she had this lefty serve that was unbelievable, that just got me off the court on the backhand side. She had this big topspin forehand. She had a slice back, and she volleyed beautifully. She was a teenager, and I thought to myself, oh my God, if she ever like gets her emotions in check, because she was very emotional, young, because she was young, and she was not fit yet. I mean, she turned out to be one of the fittest athletes ever, but at that point she wasn't fit. And I thought, I'm in trouble if this girl ever gets everything, you know what, together. So during the rivalry, you know, I started out beating her, then she got into better shape and she started beating me. And I think we're going to say the same thing. We pushed each other. I mean, Martina she was all about the athleticism, and she went to the gym and she lifted and she played basketball. She did all other sports besides tennis. And, you know, after she drummed me, you know, so many times, I'm like, well, if you can't beat them, join them. And she made me go, you know, forced me to go into the gym and get stronger physically and become quicker. My legs became quicker. I became stronger, and consequently that makes you mentally, I think, stronger when you're really fit. Mm-hmm. So we pushed each other. I had to learn how to volley better. I had to learn how to put a little more steam on my first serve. I mean, she made me clean up my game and make my weaknesses, you know, become better and better. And, you know, and I think what I did for her was probably made her steadier and probably got her to be more focused. And we helped each other's games. So that's why, you know, rivalries are a good thing, because people push each other.
Yeah, she was your, I mean, you were Rafa and she was your Federer or Djokovic and
yeah,
and Lendo McEnroe and Justine and Kim, and you always have to have that person or those two other people. But it's interesting because sorry,
you know,
go ahead.
It's interesting. We actually play each other 80 times, and it's pretty close, but she has the edge over me, like by 5 or 6 matches. But it's interesting you say that. In almost every era that there's been that rivalry. But when you look at Serena, you really don't see in the last, well, she's almost 40. She's almost 20.
I can think of one person who pushed Serena.
Venus?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying yeah, I mean, Venus, she's probably played Venus more than anybody as far as, and they probably had, yeah, they had a great rivalry. But when you look at it over the decades, there really wasn't one player. I mean, players beat her, but they came and they went.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
It has never been a real rival for Serena, except for her sister, which actually you're right there.
And people tried to create the rivalry with Maria also, but it wasn't a real rivalry.
That was.
But I think that yeah. People working in marketing wanted that rivalry to
I
exist.
think you're right.
Yeah.
And on paper, you know, they were complete opposites, and their personalities and their styles and their attitudes and you know, I think that rivalries, there's a contrast that enhances the rivalry, and each player brings their own set of fans to the place. And yeah, Maria and Serena, it almost happened, but Maria needed to win a few more.
Yeah, absolutely. It was funny because you were talking about how you said when you can't beat him, join him. I was looking at your Instagram account earlier, and it was maybe the video you posted a while ago, but you were filming women in a gym working out on some sort of a fitness, intense fitness workout, and you wrote something like, "I wish this would have existed in my days."
CrossFit.
That's it.
Yeah. It's well, I mean, the CrossFit athletes are I think the strongest athletes out there, you know, cardio wise and strength wise. And we didn't have CrossFit in our day, but my son Alex has taught a little bit of CrossFit, and he's really into it. And he has me going to CrossFit classes, and he does programs for me, which is great. And I just think it's the women and the men, but specifically the women are such better athletes now in the tennis world than they were in my day. I mean, we never did off-court training in the beginning years, and now, I mean, they are so fit, and they're so, they have their teams around them that, they have the coach and they have the fitness guy, and they've just got so many people and so many resources that can help them become better athletes, and then that translates to better tennis players. And we never had that luxury. We just tried to do as the best we could with no coaches and our little wood rackets.
Sounds so terrible, so sad.
No, but you know what? It's interesting. I always tell this story about the 75. I think I played Martina in the finals of Roland Garros, and we never traveled with coaches. We didn't have any coaches, so she and I were left alone. We were in the finals. We were in the locker room, and we looked at each other, and we didn't have anybody to warm up with. So it's like, do you want to? Can you warm me up, and I'll warm you up? Yeah, we went out there, and she was like, do you want any more serves, Chris? And I go, yeah, I need to kind of return your wide serve to the backhand. I need to kind of get that going. Could I have 3 more? And then I would say, do you want any more, do you want any more overheads, Martina? She goes, yeah, give me a couple more lobs. And we practiced together. We ate together. I remember, I'll never forget it. We had roasted chicken and French fries, I think, for lunch. We ate together before the match. And then we played the match. Then we went to the press conference. Then we traveled together to the next. So it was just a different world, but there was camaraderie and friendship then. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. Growing up in the 70s, I was right there at the beginning when women were really making their mark, and it was quite exciting to see Billie Jean kind of orchestrate this whole thing.
Yeah, I'm just gonna remember one thing you just said, is that you ate French fries just before the finals of Roland Garros.
Yeah.
I mean,
that
doesn't exist anymore. That's for sure. If any player is caught eating French fries before a Grand Slam final, they would get destroyed, right?
I don't know. Do you think Nick Kyrgios would eat French fries?
I haven't seen him in a Grand Slam final, though.
That's true. That's true.
Maybe he will get there. I hope for him he does, and
yeah.
He probably has what it takes to get there, at least in the racket. But
yeah,
it's crazy that the mentality. I mean, I was talking with Boris, and I asked him, what did people go out in Paris a little bit? Did people take more advantage of the city? And he was like, oh yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Did you remember that?
I have to say I wasn't a partier during Grand Slam, so no, I wasn't involved in these escapades. But I heard a lot of stories about other players.
I mean, hey, we have plenty of time, and nobody's listening.
No, I did in Paris. What I did at Wimbledon when I was with Jimmy, I remember we would go to the Playboy Club a couple times and watch the gambling. I remember that. And by the way, that's a casino. That wasn't the Playboy Club, like, Hugh Hefner type. But so I kind of went to some clubs then. But for the most part, I think the players, there's some partiers back then, and I think some of the guys even smoked cigarettes back then. That'll tell you a lot too. So again, fitness and diet and late hours, and I mean, it was all different. Now the athletes are much more professional, but there's more on the line. There's more money, there's more endorsements, and
and there's more pressure around them too. There are more big brothers watching than they were back in the days.
Social media, exactly. Oh my God, I thank you that we didn't have this back in our day. I mean, I always felt like, gosh, being number one in the world or being a tennis star, you don't have much privacy. But I mean, I thought that in those days, but I can't even imagine in this day. You can't do anything.
No, some people do. I saw you the other day. You had a little live interview with Stan Wawrinka.
Yep.
And he has been entertaining during this whole lockdown period with Benoit Paire. You probably heard about this.
Yes. Yes.
And they were saying, both of them were agreeing, saying, we probably don't belong in this generation. We should have been in the past generation when players were had more life, did more things, went out, got drunk, partied.
Yeah. Well, the Australian men were notorious for drinking beer. And I remember even at a tournament in Tokyo, I'm not going to name any players, but the older generation, I mean, they had beer on the sidelines while they were playing matches. And this is just an exhibition tournament, and they would, go out every night and drink beers. And actually, I kind of went with them a couple times to the discos. We called them discos. They weren't clubs in those days. They were discotheques. Studio 54. Oh my gosh, I went to Studio 54 with Vitas quite a bit too in New York. Maybe I was more of a partier than I'm thinking. Maybe
that was his nickname, right?
Sorry?
That was Vitas's nickname.
What? Which one?
Studio 54.
Oh, it was? I didn't know.
Apparently, that's what Boris said. I'm just quoting.
Oh. I remember Boris in Las Vegas gambling when he was like 17 years old. Yeah. Or 18 years old. Yeah. Oh, I probably have something on everybody and they probably have something on me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
The good thing is that Boris we interviewed him already. So
okay.
You're okay. You're safe. You can throw him under the bus. You're all good.
Oh, I'm not. No, I told him the last time I saw him, I said, do you remember in Las Vegas when you were like 17, 18, you had just won Wimbledon? Do you remember it being at Caesar's Palace? And I was married to John Lloyd, and we walked in and he was gambling. And I go, do you remember that night? And he goes, yeah. He goes, yeah. He was just a little redheaded kid when he was.
He shouldn't have been allowed in there, right?
I know. This is true.
Probably had a fake ID, a German fake ID.
Or they'll arrest him now. Anyway.
All right, let's get back to Roland Garros.
Yeah.
I want to talk about that 85 final because that's, I mean, people say that's potentially the best women's tennis match ever.
Wow.
So bold statement, but I mean, yeah, I think it's not far from being the truth. I mean, what do you think of that? You've seen a lot of tennis, you commentate a lot of tennis, you've played a lot, but that one, in terms of intensity, in terms of passion, in terms of suspense.
Yes. Now, in terms of those qualities, it had to be one of the best. It wasn't a great quality match because the nerves were, I was nervous, she was nervous, so we didn't produce our best tennis and our best shot making. But it was, like you said, suspenseful, it was entertaining, it was dramatic. It was a seesaw match up and down. I mean, she had the match at times, I had the match at times. And what made it special for me was the fact that I had lost to Martina 13 times in a row. And then I'd beaten her that one time earlier in the year. But my record against her for 2 or 3 years was dismal. She was ranked #1 in the world. She was really dominating women's tennis. And everybody had counted me out as far as winning another Grand Slam. So for me to win that and beat her by winning it, I think I actually had some tears on the court, which I never, ever cried after a match because, I was so conditioned to be unemotional out there. So, but I did. I was so happy. That was my best Grand Slam. When people say, what's your favorite win? That's my favorite win of the 18 years that I played professional tennis was the 85 French Open, for sure. Hands down.
The weather too. I think the weather changed like 18 times, like typical Parisian spring.
Yeah, cold, hot, cloudy, windy. Yeah, it was. I mean, the crowd. We felt that the crowd was absorbed in it, and they were really. really, really engaged and involved in what we were both going through emotionally. We had our own set of fans. She had hers, I had mine. And, you know, I almost think that it was like a wake-up call. Like, I just feel like after that, the French crowd really started to appreciate women athletes a lot more and women tennis players a lot more after that match.
I mean, during the speech, you said, last but not least, I know you appreciate men's tennis, but I hope you're coming to appreciate women's tennis more and more each year.
Yeah. I mean,
that's how you ended your speech.
I always had a tough time with the French attitudes and perspective towards women, you know, in the 70s. I felt that they were the last ones to come around to really equality of women and you know, appreciating women athletes. And I really felt you went to Wimbledon, and right from the first year of Wimbledon, they made me feel like a princess, you know, like, and they really did put women on a pedestal with men at Wimbledon and the US Open for that matter. But I just felt like the French were, you know, that the attitudes were a little bit barbaric, you know. They were really behind the times. And
what, you mean the French? Are you saying the French are macho?
I'm saying, in other words, I thought the men were macho, but at the same time, in their defense, clay court tennis back then wasn't exactly the most interesting thing. I mean, a lot of my finals, I remember I beat Wendy Turnbull and I beat Mima Jasovic, like 1-1, love and 2. I mean, women's tennis on clay took a while to get interesting also. So I understand that there's another side to that. And once the women started hitting harder, becoming more aggressive, becoming better athletes, and becoming more all-court players, I think that the French crowd started to come around to really appreciate us.
Martina also brought that new, like, offensive game. Because you guys played the year before also, and she beat you the year before in a game which she says was potentially the game where she played most perfect tennis. Considering like the game plan she had, she stuck to it perfectly. Very few unforced errors.
84. She just was, I mean, she did everything perfect. She was she had power, she had consistency, she had movement. She was great on the clay. So, I mean, you know, it's, so to continue that thought, after Martina and I, then came like Steffi and Monica and Arantxa and Martina Hingis. And so then it got really interesting, you know, because again, that era of tennis, Jennifer Capriati won it a few times. That era of tennis really started being aggressive on the clay. And again, we're better athletes we're more athletic than we were. And I think, you know, the whole level of interest in France got higher and higher.
Okay, good. Well, the interest in France, to reassure you today, is here. People love their women's tennis, and the Roland Garros final, women's final, nobody claps for the men to come on. By the way, that happened at Wimbledon not such a long time ago, when people wanted, I think it was Rafa to come on, and they wanted to get rid of girls who were playing. I forget who it was, but I'm just saying, the English, not that perfect.
Now, are you defensive a little bit?
No, not at all. I'm kidding.
Okay. Sure, it happens in every Grand Slam. If a star is coming, I mean, when Federer comes on the court, oh my God, you know, it's the same thing.
What about coaching? Like, we haven't. I mean, you've coached? You have an academy, but have you really? I mean, seeing you more often on the tour, with somebody, giving them your knowledge, making somebody a better player thanks to what you know and your experience. Is that something that you're not missing, to share that, or to try and, I don't know, create someone?
I have no desire to be on the road for 35 weeks. I mean, honestly, if you are going to be a successful coach, you have to be engaged with your player, not only during tournaments, but on practice weeks. You have to be on call for them. I mean, it's like you are you are a psychologist. You know, you have to get the rackets strung, you have to get the balls, you have to sign up for the courts, you have to, I mean, why would I, no, 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 no. That's why I love my tennis academy, because the kids, you know, first of all, it's 20 minutes from my house. So, I mean, I drive over there. The kids are ages 10 to 18. They absorb everything. They appreciate every bit of advice. I feel like that at that age, you can mold them and influence them more than once they're already a pro, because a lot of the pros are stubborn. You know, that's why there's such a, I mean, do you notice the coaches, the way they come in and out? It's like, oh, he's out.
Yeah. I also noticed that the coaches sometimes are, I feel like they're more people, some of them are more people who are just picking up balls on courts and reserving practice shots and getting rackets restrung. But I think that in your case, and in the case of people that are, you know, creme de la creme, like you, like Boris Becker, like Stefan Edberg, like say Martina would be, if, I mean, I know she said she would love to do it, but that's a different problem. But I think you guys have that, you know, je ne sais quoi, that you could just come in as a consultant, not have to be a 35 week on the road, but come here, drop a little advice here, be at the slams. Andre did it also. You know, it's I don't know. I feel that tennis is missing its legacy, and you guys sometimes I would love to see you guys a bit more around, and I think a lot of people would love it too, because you know you're still everybody's hero, and I see it just by all these messages and hearts flying on the screen and stuff, and you're like, Chrissy, the best, Chrissy. We love you. You're the inspiration for everybody.
I can see better.
But
listen, I get what you're saying. I am around a lot. I am around all the Grand Slams, and I'm around Indian Wells and Miami. I mean, I work for ESPN. I'm a commentator. So, I mean, that to me is my way of contributing too, as far as watching a match, trying to get the viewers to have a perspective of a player who's already done that, been on center court, won a major, the nerves involved. I mean, that's one of the ways that I can contribute. I love my academy. Again, I love going every day and influencing. I mean, look, the phone works both ways. If there was a player out there that really wanted to have a few chats with me, I would love it. I would pick up that phone. I mean, as it is, there are a couple of players that, like Isla Tomljanovic, who trained at my academy since she's been 14, and now, you know, that's 10 years ago, and she still is there, and I see her every day. You know, she's training there, and she's my friend. So, I mean, if any, you know, I just go up to her if I see something, and I just tell her, you know, this is your forehand. Let's just have a chat about your forehand. I have no problem. I see things, you know, I don't know. Top players don't really reach out to the former legends, do they? I mean, they really don't, because they have their teams and they have their tight little group, and
But like Andy Murray, when Andy Murray reached out to Ivan Lendl,
I know.
Miracle though, right?
Miracle. Yes.
When Djokovic reached out to Boris Becker.
Yes.
When Federer reached out to Edberg. All these I mean, okay, Rafa and Moya, it's a different relationship, I think, and it's a different cocktail there. But those three, I mean, that was really, there was an added value from those guys and made them better players, that they were already amazing and managed to bring them to another level.
I agree. Well, Lindsay Davenport worked with Madison Keys, you know, and I think she and Martina did for a while with Radwanska. I remember she did for, and I think Hingis did for a while also, and Justine. I think she was.
Yeah.
I can't remember who she was helping. She was helping somebody. So I mean, I think that there have been instances, but I don't know. My plate's full. My plate's full just with the commentate. And I have 3 sons, you know, and you know, even though they're in their 20s, you know, they still need me to be around.
For sure. No, I
And
mean, I understand. You traveled your whole
yeah.
life. You traveled
But
your
you know what? A phone call or something like, what do you think of, you know, you commentate enough, Chrissy. What do you see in my game, or what do you think about my game? I would love that. I'd be confidential. I wouldn't, you know, go to the press and say, well, so and so is just reaching out to me. I mean, if players would like, you know, or Martinez or Billie Jean. I mean, I thought for a while, I was like, why doesn't anybody ask Billie Jean? She'd be wonderful. And I'm sure she would have loved to have mentored or, you know, just traveled to the Grand Slams and a couple of tournaments. She would have done it, I'm sure, in a heartbeat.
Right.
I know Martina would do it, you know, so that's a good point. I have to, what's wrong with these top women players? What's wrong with these players?
Guys, I mean, give Chris a call. She's waiting. Her phone,
Yeah.
she has her phone. Her phone is obviously working very well.
I'll do my phone number at the end,
Okay.
and I'll do my email, and I'll do, you know.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice. So Fed Cup captain is a similar
Yeah.
similar thing. Okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you what you like when I was thinking about your career and stuff. I thought of Corey Goff a little bit because reminds it there's a pattern there also. Very, very young.
Yeah.
Very refreshing. Feels no pressure. Doing amazing things for her age.
Yes.
What is she the next Chris Evert?
No,
Okay.
she's the next Coco Gauff. Nobody wants to be the next anybody in this day and age. Trust me.
I mean, if she could win 7 French Opens, I'm sure she'd be happy about it.
Oh yeah, I mean, as far okay, I should. So as far as is she the next real thing? Yes, she is. She is mature beyond her years. I mean, no doubt about it, both on and off the court. I mean, you look at her game, and she can improvise, and she has pretty much an all-court game. She pretty much had an all-court game at 15 years old, and you can't say that about many 15-year-olds. But she had a very good volley. She knows how to volley. She moves well. She's a great little athlete, big serve, power, mentality, you know, champion mentality. And probably more significant and I'm just gonna change gears here for a second, but with what's going on in America right now, with the revolution that's going on, you know, probably more importantly, she could be a real leader and a real spokesperson for the fight against racism and equality and changing attitudes and perspectives. And, you know, she's been speaking out a lot on Instagram. She has showed up and is taking action. And she could be another Arthur Ashe, you know, and again, she doesn't want to be compared to Arthur Ashe, but nobody wants to be compared with anybody, but she could make a difference. And I really believe in her, and I have a lot of respect for her and her upbringing and her parents. So anyway, both on and off the court, I just cannot say enough good things about this young lady.
Class act.
Yes.
And classy answer from you. But it's true that she kind of naturally gets it because she has that in her, right? It's she's born with it. Yeah, absolutely. Agree. I saw her play, in fact, in the Junior Fed Cup that she won, and she was already a year younger than everybody there. It was in Budapest 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and you could tell that that's something that the others don't have, and she was carrying her whole team.
Yeah, it's an inner confidence that she has, and she's, you know what, she's fearless. These kids, this generation is grows up, they grow up being fearless, and whether the society has affected them or their parents, but even the Williams sisters, it started almost with that generation, the Williams sisters. Richard Williams, say what you want about him, but he taught his daughters not to fear anything. And he taught his daughters that they could be anything they wanted to be and to reach for the stars. And somehow I love my father so much, but I don't remember him saying that to me in the 60s or 70s. You know, there's a lot of fear involved, and, you know, what are people going to think, and don't be controversial. But nowadays it's like, you know, as long as you're true to yourself and you're honest, no matter what comes out of your mouth, people respect it. And I don't know, it's just a different mentality, different attitude with the kids these days.
Yeah.
And it's a freedom, really. It's quite, it's remarkable.
It is. So we were talking with Jim Courier yesterday. We have a little thing we do where we have.
You know what? I'm a little insulted. It seems like you've talked to everybody before me. I don't know.
You're kidding? I mean, I've spoken to Martina, Stefan, Boris, and Jim. But tomorrow we're speaking to Marat.
Okay. All right. I take that back then.
And then we have other people. We're trying to get this tournament to stay alive via Instagram for the moment.
But it's going to happen in September, you think?
Yeah, it's looking better and better.
Good.
So we'll be able to do this face to face in September. But in the meantime, tomorrow is Safin.
Okay.
And I want to know, first of all, when you hear the name Marat Safin, what comes up? What's
Well, first of all, when I retired, I worked for NBC for like 5 years, and then for 10 years I raised kids, and I really didn't. I mean, during his tennis playing days, I honestly can say I wasn't really paying attention. But when I hear his name, the few times that I watched him play, and you know, I think I do remember a lot of girls in his player box. So I think he was like a Don Juan with the ladies. I think that he's terrifically good looking, and I think that he was terrifically talented as a tennis player and could do almost anything. And physically was, you know, again, just good hands, good power. He was really very, very talented. And I think at times he probably was his own worst enemy, you know, getting down on himself, but a little volatile at times. But boy, if you were to name one of the more talented players out there, it would have been him for sure.
Yeah. So can you hook me up with a question for him?
You want me to ask him a question? I would ask him, looking back at his career, does he feel that he does he I want to say regret, but I will say regret. Looking back at his career, does he feel like he could have been a little more disciplined?
Interesting.
I mean, does that just is a big loaded question, but
I think I'm gonna kick off my interview with him with that question, and then that should cover the hour.
Jesus. I mean, because, you know, again, everybody marvels at how talented and how much of he was a great athlete. He was so strong, and he just had those weapons, and he was meant to be a tennis. He would have been good at any sport, but he was a loose cannon sometimes, you know, and the discipline might be going out partying too much, or it might be containing himself on the court, you know, for whatever reason, or is he 100% thrilled with the way things went for him, which I kind of hope, that's his answer. But
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, we don't regret that he pulled his pants down at the French at Roland Garros, right?
um, you don't, or
No, I don't, because that's something that stays in the history books forever. Nobody, including himself, I think, knows why he did it.
Yeah, yeah.
But he did it, and he even got a warning for it. But it's great.
Somebody just says sounds like Nick K. I'm reading a comment. KAK tennis sounds like Nick K. Yeah, he was a character, and he was a personality, and he brought a lot to the game for sure. Anyway, that would be my question.
Do you think it sounds like Nick K?
I think they're similar. They were similar. Yeah.
Maybe he should coach him. Okay. Interesting. All right. Now, it's quiz time, which means we're coming to the end of this.
Okay.
And the quiz is a 3-question quiz about you at Roland Garros. I get very defensive on these because I don't like to lose them. And yesterday, for the first time, I lost against Jim Courier.
Okay, I have no memory.
Well,
I'm older than anybody you've interviewed. So I hope they're not like in 1973. I hope they're not. Are they? All right, go ahead. Go for it. Thanks a lot.
In 1821, no.
That's
I'm
very funny.
kidding.
I know you
1973. In fact, just very simple. Do you remember versus whom you played your very, very first match on Cour Centrale in Roland Garros? The first time you played on center court. Who was on the other side of the net?
No idea. No idea. No idea. I think that would be kind of weird if I did remember that. That would be like I'm still living, that I took it a little too seriously. Who was it?
I mean, playing on center court of Roland Garros is not it's a big deal, right?
No, but that's like I remember Etta Budding at the U.S. Open when I was 16. I remember her, and I don't remember Australia, and I don't really remember Wimbledon. No, who was? I have no idea.
Okay, it was Hideko Goto, a Japanese girl.
Say that again.
Hideko Goto.
Okay. Well.
And she won a total of 1 game.
Okay. Well, I hope she's happy and has kids and is just living a life that she wants to live right now.
Well, I'm sure she is. But
and not thinking about that match.
Hideko, hello from Paris and from not Paris, from the south of France and from.
I'm sorry. No. Okay.
Okay. 1985. Then, second question. You lost to Martina in singles, but you lost her in doubles also, right? She was playing with Pam Shriver.
Well, I mean, they played together a zillion matches.
Who were you playing with?
Was I playing with I want to say Wendy Turnbull, but I'm not sure. Will you tell me if it's? Am I right? Was it a French player or not? Yes. Okay. I played with in 85.
You lost in the quarterfinals.
Trying to think what French players played in 85. Was she a good singles player?
She was pretty good. Not in the same class as you guys, but she was pretty good. I'll give you a hint. Her first name and last name started by the same letter.
Well, tell me the letter, for crying out loud. R?
P. P.
B?
P.
P?
P as in Paris.
Petra? Paula?
I'll give you her first name.
Yes.
Pascal.
Oh, Pascal. Pascal. Yeah. Well, I didn't even know her. How did I
What was
play
her
doubles?
last name? What was her last name,
I
Chris?
can't even remember her last name.
Pascal Paradis.
Oh, Paradis. Pascal Paradis. How did that partnership happen? Because I don't
know.
even
You tell me.
I don't know. I don't know her. And that's probably the only tournament that we ever played.
Well, you made it to the quarters.
Okay.
And you got beaten by the
Pascal,
you lost
I'm so
to the.
sorry. She's not listening, is she? I'm so sorry.
She's right here next to me. Bonjour, Pascal. Viens. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Pascal.
And
Pascal,
Hideko is here on my left.
I'm old. I'm so sorry. I didn't remember. But okay, what's the third? Because I'm going to bomb that one too.
Maybe not. Who's the last person you beat at Roland Garros?
You know what? I mean, I did play after 86, correct?
You know who you played your last match versus, right?
87, 88.
It was 88.
Arantxa.
Yeah.
I lost to Arantxa because I had a cortisone shot in my foot and I couldn't move. Sorry, Arantxa. Look, the truth comes out.
The match before.
I know. Well, hey, you know what? It should have been who was the last person you lost to. I would have gotten that. Arantxa. Person before. Nationality.
Italian.
Not Reggie. Raffaella. No. Okay. Honestly, am I supposed to know like specific matches? I'm not talking finals. I'm talking like round of 16 in a tournament 50 years ago. Are you kidding me?
I listen. I don't make the rules.
Okay.
Or I do. I actually do, but I actually do make the rules.
All right. What's her initials?
Her initials are BR. Her first name is Barbara.
Barbara Rittner?
No, Italian.
Well, there was a Barbara Rittner, right?
Yeah, but she was German, I think. No.
Yeah, she was, and she was way younger than me. Barbara Paulus?
Barbara Romano.
No. Oh no, I wouldn't. I don't know who that is. I don't know who that is. Can you ask me a question? Okay.
All right, I'll ask you. I have a fourth one. I'm not
Okay.
supposed to ask 4 questions, but
gotta do it.
Do you know your win loss?
Stupid
Do you know your win loss record at Roland Garros?
No, I don't know. I don't know. I don't care. I don't know. I don't memorize. I don't think about my achievements when I wake up every single morning.
All right. Well, we'll end the interview on this because you're 72 and 6 in Paris, which is absolutely amazing. You lost 6 times in 13 tournaments. You won 7 titles. You made the final 9 times. Respect. I mean, no other words. And if you don't remember, a lot of other people remember, and I certainly remember. And I can tell you that it was an inspiration for a lot of people. I was there, in fact, at the 84 or 85 final. I don't remember, and I was like 10 years old. So.
Oh, thanks.
Jesus, I'm bombing this interview.
Boy, this last
10
minutes, it's gone completely downhill. I'm
sorry. I didn't know.
No memory. No, that's true. No, that's okay. Philippe Chatrier went to the Lido with him my first year with my mother, and that was quite astounding because the women were topless. And I was only 17, and he took my mom and I to the Lido. That was famous back then, right?
No, it still is. A little less, but it's a little less. But yeah, a nice anecdote.
Yeah, thought I'd throw that in.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Raise the level of the interview.
No, it was great. It was great.
So
It was
just
fun.
that BNP Paribas are doing a fundraiser draw for Paris hospitals.
Okay.
So people are entering this draw, and whenever they enter the draw, BNP is donating to the hospitals, and they're winning articles that are donated by you guys. So this is news to you?
I heard there was a little charity money involved in this. Yes. So this isn't new to me.
So I want to know what you're going to be donating to us, to the raffle, basically.
You want money? You want my money now?
No, I don't want any money. I want you to. This conversation is going completely crazy. I've lost control of this interview.
Didn't you just say you want to know what I'm going to contribute? Didn't you just say that?
Yeah, you're going to contribute either a shirt that you wore, a tennis racket. If you do want to send me money, by the way, you can send it after the interview. That's fine. But no, I'm not asking for money.
Okay. I'll give you anything you want. What do you want? A racket, a shirt?
A racket would be great. If you can sign a racket and send us a racket, that would be amazing.
That's the least I can do.
Okay, cool.
No, I would love to. I hope somebody likes it, but no, I would love to give a racket.
Okay, well, that's really cool. People would love it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was a lot of fun.
Sorry for the chaotic quiz, but I told you I don't like to lose them. But still, I'm pretty disappointed. You're going to have to revise a little bit.
You know what? I think it shows that I don't live in the past, and I'm just trying to live in the present and the future. Okay?
Okay. Take a look at your activity from time to time, though. It's nice.
Okay. Give myself a little pat
Bye,
on the back.
Chris. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Enjoyed it.
Thanks a lot, and we'll see you in September.
I hope so. Tell Eurosport to hire me again. Thank you.
Okay, I'll tell them right now.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.